Hello, welcome to the Q. It's Axis and Allies North Africa new game. It's replacement units from HBG, Historical Board Gaming, and Doug has sent those to me, and they look really good. We'll get a close-up look at these here in a second. I took this game out of town with me, read the rules again, and then had an afternoon where I got to play my first game. And it was actually pretty fun. There was a lot of learning curves, that's for sure. Um, and if you're wondering how that game went, it didn't go well for the Allies because you've got these convoy zones you've got to manage, which I botched the Axis ones up here, a little bit, but I really botched up the Allied ones. Basically, the British here, how you've got to start your units and then flow them, and 3 turns they get on the board. And I figured I needed some Navy to go after the Axis convoy zones, but what I didn't figure was when I placed them, and they moved and they moved, and then they were here. I had just had Navy, and I think I had 1 infantry to make up the difference of the cost. Or maybe it was a truck. I'm not sure what it was, but it came into Cairo and the Navy goes into here. Well, that was the exact time Italy was here and Germany had taken Tobruk with all its mechs and tanks. So I had a 1-2 coming into Cairo, and there was not enough British units here. And the game ended before the U.S. and French even got to take place in this game. So I can't tell you how Vichy France performed or U.S. because the game ended earlier than expected. But learned a valuable lesson. So let's look at the units. Let's look at these French ones here first. I might have to lower this a little bit and zoom in. Get a close-up look there. There we go. All right, so in the back here, you've got your black. No, they're not black. They're dark blue. Those are the units that come with the game, and they are, this infantry is the standard infantry you would get in the normal Axis and Allies Global 40 games. The tank is new. The truck is new. The tank, I think, is the H-35. No, it's the Somu S-35. And it looks pretty good actually. And so, like I said, so do the trucks. The trucks they did a really good job on. The light blue ones up front here are the HBG versions. The same units. I really like this infantry. Maybe we get a little closer look. We'll come in on that. Lots of detail on that. That's a good looking French infantry there. I really like that one. Truck and tank, I would say, are pretty similar, although the tank here might have a little more detail for sure. But like I said, these trucks that Axis and Allies come out with this game are really good. So the trucks are pretty good as well here from HBG. So your set of French is obviously a lot less if you look at what you get, here in the game and then here in the HBG set. So compared to the American units that you get in game and then the American units you get in the set. And there are a few extras in there, and we'll look at those in a second. So let's get down to the U.S. units. The anti-aircraft gun, is way more detailed, but the out-of-box one is not bad. It's pretty good, along with the out-of-box infantry. Lots of detail. Of course, I'm covering it up with my fingers, but I don't know how else to pick that up. Here's the U.S. infantry, which kind of looks like an early war, infantry. They've done a really good job with that. M1 Grand, I'm sure. The really detail comes in these artillery and tank, because the out-of-box artillery and tank, I got my pointer. That's what I'm using. That's what I should be using. Very little detail. I mean, I don't like, especially this Sherman. I don't even know never have liked that Sherman sculpt. It looks a little goofy with that front end like that. But as you can tell, the HBG Sherman and that artillery, huge amount of detail. I really like this artillery here. I almost would buy a bunch of these artillery and replace these in my U.S. force box for Global War 36. That would be pretty cool. And then, of course, you know, like I said, the trucks, Axis and Allies, I like. This truck is even more detailed. Let me pick that up because, you know, when you look, not that you look underneath the truck, but look at all that detail under there. Pretty cool. Really like that U.S. truck. The artillery is my favorite piece in the U.S. Well, I say that. The infantry is pretty cool too. I don't know. There's a lot of good pieces there. Behind it there, the destroyer, you know, pretty generic, a little more detail than the HBG destroyer. Of course, you got the mines, sea mines and land mines to take away those cardboard shits that they give you. The aircraft, HBG went with different aircraft based off the time period of the war. The P-40 here and the B-25 Mitchell probably more represented what was used in North Africa, especially the B-25 over the B-17, because the B-17 was a strategic bomber. I don't know that it saw much action in North Africa, maybe bombing the port at Tunis, you know, the Axis port up there. But for gameplay, this is probably a much better representation. I think the P-38s, they were probably transitioning away from the P-40s, the P-38s, and then, of course, later on getting into the P-47, P-51s, the better planes for sure. But, you know, for the sets, and they're in the green, so you don't need to paint if you don't want to, just like the blue. And looking at that blue again, if you really were into colors, you could use this as your Vichy France units, and then when they transition over to Free French, you could go to the darker blue if you wanted. You do get some extra units, and I knocked the French general. I've got the sheet out here so I can see General Henri Girard. Is that how you say that? Maybe I'm not really sure. That he is the French general that comes in the pack. And then, of course, you know, it wouldn't be U.S. North Africa without General Patton for the U.S. You can see that pistol there. It's probably the ivory-handled revolver. The other extra units is this not an armored car, but basically a scout car, which is pretty cool. And then, of course, the Lee tank, which most of the U.S. tanks in North Africa would have been this Lee or the Stuarts, because those were the tanks that the U.S. went to war with. The Shermans kind of were just now coming online. I get why in the pack they left it as the Sherman, because it has the same stats as the British Sherman, which is a Lend-Lease unit. That is a better tank than the British tanks in the game when you look at the stats. I got one of those stat thing sheets here so you can kind of see that. Might be too close. See right there, you've got your Matilda tank, you know, attacking at a 4, defending at a 5, but only moves 1. And then, of course, you've got the Sherman there, which is kind of reverse. Attacks better, defends less, but it moves more. And you can blitz. So the Sherman tank is limited to just 2 Lend-Lease tanks. And you get them for free for Britain, so that's nice. So anyway, I get why they kept that, because the U.S. stats are this tank here for the Sherman. But you could always go the more traditional route and go with the Lee tank, or sprinkle in some Stuarts as well if you wanted to. So either way, some good units. Came with the sheets here. I really like these sheets. They give you the detail, and then also, most importantly, is the part number. So you can look these up if you just wanted to order, say you wanted to order Patton, you know, just wanted Patton. There you go. You get that. Let's see, M3 Lee tank right there. So you can order that different. I think the sets will come with one, just so you can see it. And that is a look at the U.S. and French forces that HBG has put out. If you'd like to replace, like I said, they will come color coded, so you don't need to paint them if you're not one of those guys that paints. So you don't need, they used to all be in gray, so now they're using color resins to match the nations, which is kind of nice. So really cool to get these units. Thanks again, HBG, for sending those out. And hopefully, I believe Doug said these sets are for sale now. So the last set to be produced is the British set, and it will be out shortly. So hopefully you find these units exciting as I do, and order yours and play with yours today.